It's time to take a TO. You're listening to Take a TO with Coach Steve Turner and your host, Kurt Cross. Each episode, we take you inside the DMV sports scene and beyond. Sponsorship and advertising opportunities are available. And now, welcome to this week's episode. It's time to take a TO. Here's your host, Kurt Cross, with Coach Steve Turner.
Welcome to Take a TO with Coach Steve Turner. I'm your host, Kurt Cross, and we welcome you, our audience, to episode 7. You can find us on Spotify, Buzzsprout, iHeartRadio, Apple Music, and just about anywhere you get your podcast content. We are a weekly podcast where we talk sports and life. We might jump into some tough subjects, and of course, we will talk WCAC athletics and then some. Thanks to our new listeners and, of course, our legacy audience. We are excited to bring to you this week's episode as we talk something very familiar to both Coach Turner and me, high school hoops, but more specifically, WCAC hoops. If you're from the DMV or are a WCAC hoops lover, this episode is for you. But first, Coach Turner, how was last week, the weekend, and all that good stuff, my friend?
Last week was great, and the weekend was fun. Got an opportunity to coach up our guys a little bit in a little event that was brought here to the East called the Border League,
right,
which has been happening out West. For those who recognize the name of it or maybe even have seen it, the last couple of years it's been an event that has been played on the ESPN channels. In the last 2 seasons, I believe Mount Bird has prevailed as the champion of the West. And this year, coach from our league who's been going out there the last 2 years, Joe Wooten, decided to partner up with the guys who are running that event out West and try to bring a version of it here to the East.
Sure.
So we were fortunate enough to get a few games in this weekend playing in it.
All right, excellent. And I heard that one young man out there, well, you know what? We'll say that for WCAC talk. I feel like I saw some tweets, though, from Capital Hoops, right?
They did some coverage, but they're always coverage.
Right.
Their coverage usually expands for one of the teams in our league.
Okay. I hear you. Okay, my bad. My week was good. I had a wedding in Philly last weekend. That was a bunch of fun. Got to see my son run some cross country, and he improved his time from one meet to the next. Went to a restaurant for breakfast/brunch called Milk and Honey. Have you been there?
I have not been to Milk and Honey.
Steve, please go.
It's pretty good.
Steve, please go. It's right down Georgia Avenue. Okay. And they got College Park, they got Falls Church, Woodbridge, Baltimore. They got a bunch of locations. Steve, so one of my staff members who works part-time for us, we just hired him. He finished a gig with our crew on Saturday night, and he said, I said, where else do you work? You have a part-time job somewhere else? And he told me, Milk and Honey, I've heard of the restaurant. I've never been. The one he works in is like an express. They have some, diner seating or some, what do you call it, like the countertop seating.
Gotcha.
But the other restaurants have a lot of seating. Steve, I'm not one to be cliche, but if there's something called comfort food, dog, they got shrimp po' boy. They got biscuits and gravy, honey biscuits and gravy. They got, Steve, get it.
So you're telling me you went there and came back home and took a nap?
Steve, on the couch, boy, what you talking about? And I got some leftovers in the fridge.
Oh, man.
Oh, my goodness. Paula got the shrimp pasta. Steve, I think it's worth it. I'll take you there myself. I don't care, but we got to get there.
Okay.
Milk and it's right down the street. And my boy TJ works there. Shout out to TJ, who works with us here at Dynamic DJ Entertainment, who told me to come down. Now, it's not going to be cheap. 4 of us, it was $90. Yeah. All right, but it's worth every penny.
That's actually not
that bad
DMV,
today.
That's not bad today. That's sometimes just a date out with the wife.
Just 2 people.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we got that in. And I think it was well worth it. But I'll take you to Milk and Honey.
Okay.
But you got to get me a cheesesteak, Steve.
Well, you earned it. You
got to get me a cheesesteak.
You earned your cheesecake.
We gonna talk about that.
Your girls came through.
They did come through, and all I'm saying is I want to get to this. I'm gonna get to this a little bit later. We'll get to the WNBA talk a little bit later. It was great to have our favorite Buckaroo, Casey O'Neill, back in the studio for episode 6. If you missed it, go back into the catalog and give it a listen. We talked Mabry Academy, the mental health of our student athletes, and more. Episode 6 is in the catalog, and it is now available everywhere. But first, let's go to our first commercial break, and we'll be right back with our starting 5.
You're listening to Take a TO with Coach Steve Turner and your host, Kirk Cross.
The starting five. Welcome back to Take a TO with Coach Steve Turner. I'm your host, Kirk Cross, and we are up to our starting five. This is the segment where I ask Coach Turner 5 questions he's never heard before, and he has 30 seconds to answer each question. If he fails to do so, you will hear this sound. Now, Coach Turner, have you seen the questions on my script before?
Never.
I didn't share them with you, did I?
No way.
This sounds like we have a righteous starting five. Let's do it. Own a McDonald's franchise for life or double your current salary for the remainder of your career. So if you have
I'm owning the McDonald's.
you just gonna carry that out?
For sure.
That's too easy. See, I'm making it too easy. All right. Vegas penthouse suite for this year's Super Bowl with tickets to the game and to see Usher, of course, at halftime. Or the next year's worth of local concerts with free tickets to whatever show you choose. However many you choose as well.
I'll take the free tickets to any of the local for the next year.
So you'll skip the Super Bowl, the penthouse suite, and the Usher halftime show.
Yes.
You're going to the local shows.
I'm going to all the local shows. I mean,
Whatever ones you want.
Well, the local shows could end up being Beyonce,
Yep.
Jay-Z,
Adele, anybody,
Drake,
right?
Adele. I think I'll get more for my buck for the local shows.
You're going to roll the dice on local.
Yes.
And local's DMV. You can go to Jiffy Lube Live, Merriweather, wherever.
I'm definitely taking the local.
All right. Here's a good one. I came up with this one, and I'm interested in what you have to say. This is a multi-part question.
Okay.
All right. Build a basketball player based on the following criteria. You want them to have height like who?
KD.
IQ like who?
Chris Paul.
All right. Let me write this down. Strength like. It could be player from the past or present.
Oh, Shaq Diesel.
I thought you would go there. Shooting like.
KD.
Okay, not Steph. Not Reggie Miller.
I'm going to go shooting like Steph.
Okay, shooting like Steph. All right. Rebounding like. It could be a college player. It could be anybody.
Dennis Rodman.
All right. Mental toughness like.
MJ.
Defense like.
Gary Payton.
Oh, the glove. You want to lock him up. Attitude like.
Kevin Garnett.
Athleticism like.
Vince Carter.
And I was going to put this on there, but I didn't, but I think I will. So attitude like, athleticism like. I put mental toughness, but actual toughness like who?
Guess I'm on this 30 seconds. There's a lot of dudes, so I'm just thinking of the one I want.
You know, one of the toughest guys I've ever seen play? Allen Iverson. He was tough. I'm not saying you got to use him. I'm saying he's a tough guy.
He's definitely a tough guy. But when I think of that toughness, I'm thinking of who's going to be my goon defensively.
Like Cartwright or one of them.
Yeah. Actually, I'm going to go toughness like Steve Nash.
All right. Toughness like Steve Nash. So your player would be height like KD, IQ like CP3, strength like Shaq, shooting like Steph, rebounding like Rodman. I thought you might go Barkley there. Mental toughness like MJ. I thought you might go Kobe there. Defense like Gary Payton. Attitude like Kevin Garnett. I'm scared of him. I'm scared of that guy.
He's a bad boy.
Athleticism like Vince Carter. I would not have picked him, but I absolutely have zero problem with that choice, right? And toughness like Steve Nash. All right, let's move over to football. Joe Montana, Barry Sanders, and Randy Moss on your team? Or do you want Tom Brady, Walter Payton, and Megatron, Calvin Johnson?
Going with the first group.
First group, you going with Barry? All right, you're going with the first group. All right. Which sports matchup? You know what? Let's start again. Joe Montana, Barry Sanders, and Randy Moss. Tell me why you picked them over Tom Brady, Walter Payton, and Calvin Johnson. Calvin Johnson got that height, but so does Randy.
Randy Moss is one of the best receivers to ever do it.
Absolutely.
And you know, he just, you know, you get a catchphrase named after your name.
Right.
That just keeps going on and going on.
You got mossed.
Right. And he did it with different quarterbacks, which I think was impressive.
Right.
Joe Montana is one of my first favorites outside of the guys who played for my team.
Right.
And Barry, come on, man. That's like watching a dance party on the football field.
And he had no kind of offensive line.
None. But got wherever he wanted to. No matter how long it took to get there.
Right. I mean, he would go this way, come back there. He'd lose 17 yards to get 54.
Watching him in the NFL was like watching us out in the field with our friends playing ball.
Or watching.
Throw up football. Just go.
Right. Or one in video games you play where you just do all kinds of crazy stuff, right? Which sports matchup, team or individuals, would you like to see or have seen play out? For example, would you like to have seen Serena Williams play against Arthur Ashe or something like that? You know, a dream matchup you can never see. It could be a team. It could be the 87 Chicago Bears versus, whoever. What would you like to have seen or would like to see?
I mean, I'd like to see, since all we ever see on the Instagram and all we ever see on Twitter and all we see on YouTube and everywhere else is the GOAT matchup. Right. Give me LeBron's best team versus Mike's best team, and let's end the debate.
Mike's best team is going to win.
I know they are. But I want it to happen so I can tell this young generation to shut up.
That's too easy, Steve. Any team Mike was on besides the end years with Wizards.
I would just like to see it happen. I mean, there's plenty that I could name in all different sports.
Well, give me something else.
But that's one of them that I would want to see.
Give me another one you'd want to see.
I'll give you two more.
Okay.
So the other would be in women's tennis.
Okay.
Serena. Mm-hmm. In her prime.
Right.
Versus Navratilova.
I was going to say Martina Navratilova, right?
In her prime.
Right. Okay. All right.
And then the next, because it's become such a hobby of mine now.
Right.
Tiger in his prime versus Jack in his prime.
Oh, my God. Come on, man. You want to see them on the same course? on the Masters?
It doesn't matter.
You just want to see them play?
Actually, I take them to St. Andrews.
Okay. Then you want to see that one?
Yes.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, that is your starting five. The starting five.
You're listening to Take It To with Coach Steve Turner and your host, Kirk Cross.
Listen to us on Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Buzzsprout, Spotify, and other popular podcast platforms. Tune in on your preferred podcast platform. Be sure to listen, subscribe, and spread the word.
And now, back to Take It To with Coach Steve Turner and your host, Kurt Cross.
Welcome back to Take It To with Coach Steve Turner. I'm your host, Kurt Cross. And of course, Coach Turner is the other half of this weekly podcast. Steve, let's flip it a bit. Let's get to sports first before we get into our main segment. Vegas wins 3-1. The Aces beat the Liberty.
Coach, I owe you a steak and cheese.
All right. You heard the man,
so
y'all.
You got a SoCo.
Steak and cheese coming right up.
Steak and cheese coming your way this weekend. Definite. And they did it. I mean, they just, they, no pun intended, but they manhandled them.
Right.
Like they have a chance to be a dynasty.
Right.
They don't break this group up. I don't know that anyone can go and just flat out dethrone them.
Right.
I thought Liberty would be the team that had the best chance.
Right.
Because of what they did to them in the regular season.
Over 5 games.
But in that short period of time,
right,
the Aces took care of business.
You know what I didn't want to hear? I didn't want to hear, is this team better than the Comets that started the WME? Mm-hmm. They won 4 in a row. The Comets won the first 4 titles. I'm not ready to give them that yet.
No, not yet.
It's social media, and you have more games you can see on TV. And by the way, all the stars showed up. I think you and I were both right. We thought this would be big. It was big.
It was definitely big, and as a man, it makes me proud.
Absolutely.
For how everyone showed out for the women.
Yeah.
Like
I
take great pride in that, and so for me, all the stars came out. From whatever their stardom is, they came out and showed out for those women, and that was pretty cool.
Stewie, deferred on the last play. She got the ball mid-post, a little bit out. And I thought she would turn baseline, draw a double team, dump it over the top for a layup. They didn't need a 3 to win. They needed 2 to tie. And I'm just not sure. I'm not making fun. I'm not a huge Stewie fan because I'm not a huge UConn fan, but I'm not anti-Stewie. Is she able to show up in big moments?
Oh, come on. She's shown up in every big moment.
Except for that one.
Okay, one time in everyone's life that happens. That's happened to the guys we just talked about, the battles. Mike's missed out on some opportunities. LeBron's missed out on some opportunities. Kobe's missed out on some opportunities. This is the first time she's ever lost in the finals.
Okay. All right.
I'm just putting it out there. At any point in her career, she's arguably one of the best 5 in the league right now. No ifs, ands, or buts about it.
Arguably. I don't think we can argue that. I think she is.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, she's not Superman. There is kryptonite.
Without Chelsea Gray, that shows you how strong Vegas is.
Oh, no doubt.
Yeah. So we thought it'd be a great matchup. It was. I echo your sentiments in that the stars showed up. We made this a big WNBA finals. Where are we with these Washington Commanders, man?
I love them.
Right?
I have no issues. Like, as I always fear, like, when we have change, everyone thinks change means immediate fix.
Right.
No. What I'm liking right now, we got a quarterback.
Right. And people give him grief, but we have a quarterback.
We have a quarterback.
Correct. 4 touchdowns.
We have a quarterback.
Right.
I'm not even worried about that anymore.
Right.
You know, would I love to see my man come here?
Who's that?
Caleb Williams.
Oh gosh, yes.
But if that couldn't happen for us, which I don't think it will, because I think we're going to win some more games this year, and not be in a position to draft him unless we do some
crazy stuff.
Some crazy stuff, which would probably hurt us more than it could help us.
Right.
We'd have to give up some dudes that we can't afford to lose off the defense.
Right.
And I like where we're at with this quarterback. We got other places to figure out. Offensive line.
We need an offensive line, Steve.
And D-backs.
Yeah. Like you said, it's a little concerning because people thought that new ownership meant something right away. You were very vocal. I am a very, very loyal but realistic fan. We agree. We're not looking at Super Bowl this year. We would be tickled pink if they even made the playoffs, but we're not even calling for that.
What I'd like to see is what's going to happen to this group in the offseason with what kind of acquisitions they make and what kind of trades they might make and what they might be able to do a little bit through the draft. And then I don't even know that it has to be playoffs, but it has to be fighting right there with a chance to get in it next year. That's what I'd like to see. I still believe this is a 2 to 3 year process.
I think you're right.
And so what I'm getting to see right now is a team that I can take some pride in. I get to walk in on Mondays and say, you know what? All right, we did take a loss to a team that we shouldn't have lost to, but look what we're doing against some of the better teams in the NFL.
Right.
So I'm good with my Commanders right now. They still got a fan in Coach Turner.
They got a fan in Coach Curtis too. I mean, you ain't got to worry about that. I'd like to see us go out and get some big corn-fed mules. You understand what I'm saying? That could block on the offensive line.
You better watch yourself. They're going to be calling you the Jimmy the Greek on here soon.
Well, hold on. He went racial. I didn't go racial. It could be white boys, black boys, Latino boys, Asian boys. I don't care. But I need some big corn-fed mules to come out there and make some space.
We do. We need
protect that quarterback.
We need the Hogs. We need to go back.
Don't say that, Steve. I want the Hogs back. So Russ Grimm,
look, man,
Joe Jacoby,
bad boys.
George Stark,
bad boys.
You want Doc Walker?
They took all that from the mud. That group right there.
That's what I want.
From the mud.
The Bengals, Bills, and Ravens are all on the rise. The Ravens, I mean, they're doing some things like they do every year.
Look, love Lamar.
You know the thing I like about Lamar the most? His respect. Every time he does an interview, thank you, Miss Michelle.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Turner. Like, he's always so respectful. Man. That's what I like about him the most. The Bengals, they didn't look good at first. Now they won 3, 4 in a row or something.
Getting a little healthy.
Yeah. And the Bills, hopefully they put something in their rearview mirror. They're putting up points.
They got a big one this week, right?
Yeah, they got one, but they lost to the Patriots a couple weeks. I don't get that. But they're doing what they're supposed to do. But we said
this, the start of the league this year was
just weird.
Yeah,
it was just weird. 49ers are trending the wrong way, bro.
A little banged up. Again.
3 losses in a row.
Banged up.
Yeah, man, but they were banged up last year, found Brock Purdy, and all of a sudden they're doing some things.
Well, we can turn it around. There's plenty of time to turn it around.
All right, the Chiefs looked bad yesterday. The Chiefs looked bad yesterday. Patrick Mahomes, 2 or 3 picks.
That's not normal for him.
That's not him.
But I said the start of this season has been a weird one all the way around.
You know who did look good, though? Russell Wilson looked good.
Finally,
right?
Finally.
All right, so we're going to see what happens there. The NBA, it's super early, but is James Harden going to go to practice?
I don't think anything happens with James Harden until they get rid of him. I think he won't suit up for Philadelphia again.
That helps me because I got Joel Embiid in the fantasy league, and as long as Harden ain't there, you know Embiid's going to get all the touches, right? Maxi's not bad either.
I like Maxi a lot.
Yeah, the Wemby effect. You think he needs to put on some more weight, and he is not a cure-all immediately for San Antonio.
No, this is a build. This is a build, and he's a major piece to build around. I think the Spurs have some talent in that organization right now.
He got some high flyers,
but they're going to need more to go around him, and physically he's going to have to develop more to be a major factor every night.
Right.
I think he's going to have some special nights, and think he's going to have some nights where people are questioning. But I think his future is very bright.
Absolutely, his future is very bright. Can anyone beat the Nuggets out west?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either. And I don't even think it's close.
As long as they stay healthy,
right?
And can't even use the word anymore because they're not supposed to do it anymore. Load management,
right?
Keep these guys ready to go when the playoffs kicks in. They got that it surrounding them that you saw in the teams that for so many years have had the runs. The run that the Celtics made back with Bird, the runs that the Lakers made with Magic, the runs that the Bulls made, the runs that Detroit made. Like, they got that it factor right now. They're going to be hard to beat.
They're going to be hard to beat, Steve, unless they break that team up because someone wants more money than, they value the money over winning, then I don't know who's going to beat them. It's not close.
There's only one thing that could stop them right now.
Them? The Joker going down.
No, the Joker deciding he just wants to go home.
Right, because he will do that.
Because he likes to be at home. Like
he didn't want to be at the parade.
No.
He just wanted to go be with his horses.
It's crazy.
He's like, I just do this to do this.
This is just...
And he plays like that. He just throws up some crap and it goes in.
He's good.
He got my respect. I didn't like him because he's in the West, and I can't like him because he's in the West. He's got my respect. Not that he's looking for my respect.
Point center.
Right? Can do what he wants. He can pass better than anyone. Right?
He's special.
If you make him purely a scorer, you might have a chance. Take away his ability to pass.
I love the respect that Charles Barkley paid him at the beginning of the season. I guess there was a signage that had some of the big names and big faces on it, and his wasn't on it.
Okay.
And Barkley came out publicly and was like, "This isn't right. You're missing the guy. How do you not have his face on the face of the NBA right now, basically?"
And what I think people, at the end of the first quarter, the Celtics are beating the Wizards 42 to something, 19 maybe. The Wizards have no defense? They literally have no defense. 42-19.
The Wizards don't have enough talent. Forget the defense.
Dog.
They don't have enough talent. 42-19.
How you give up you on pace to give up 168 points in one game? That's all-star numbers.
They don't have enough talent, Coach.
They sure don't. Can anyone be? My mom's calling me. Mom's calling me.
Talk to her.
You want me to talk to my mom on the air? All right. Well, here's the script. You take over. Hey, Mom. Steve, talk to the people.
Our host had to take a step away. Moms always come first, so I hope that you all can respect and understand that we got a little time away from without him for a second here. But here he comes back. Mom let him step away.
Mom, I have to pick her up at the airport tomorrow. She's reminding me, as moms will do.
As they will do.
I have it in my calendar. This is live podcasting, folks.
Tell my girl I said hello.
I shall do that. Texas and Arizona. I'm sorry. Can anyone beat the Celtics in the East? It was a good lead-in watching that game there.
I think it's still early to decide
super early.
who the East is, but I still think it goes through them or Milwaukee.
Milwaukee got smoked the other night.
They got some things to figure out.
Okay.
But with the talent of the two superstars and what the East has, they'll be in the mix. What's
up in Houston? They can't win a game.
No.
Oh, my goodness. All right. The World Series. We're tied at 1-1. Scherzer's pitching tonight, Texas and Arizona. The only thing I wanted to mention about this, baseball is more your thing, but we have a World Series that does not include the Dodgers, Astros, Yankees, or Red Sox.
And because of it, you don't hear a lot of talk about it.
You don't, right?
No, it's been the quietest.
It would have been louder if the Phillies were there, but the Phillies got knocked out in Game 7.
This has been in my lifetime, this has been the quietest
Like
World Series information
I promise
I've
you,
ever heard in my life.
There's someone listening to this podcast who did not know Texas and Arizona were in the World Series, right? Dusty says this is it for him. He says he's got more baseball left in him, but this is it.
He wants to enjoy the back nine. He's done unbelievable things in the game.
I hope he does
in the game of baseball, and hats off to him. He deserves his flowers while he's here,
right?
And unbelievable. He's done it as a player, done it as a manager. Give that man his roses.
Orioles don't have that many people on their roster re-signed for next year, so they got to get to that, and they got to open up the checkbook. The Mets need to stop opening up the checkbook, and they need to get some talent in here and build through prospects. And the Nationals, I don't know what they need because I don't watch them enough. Do you watch them enough to know what's going on with them?
It's crazy how they went from
like 2-3 years ago.
2 or 3 years ago. I gotta look at that a little more.
Right. All right, Ron Perel, I need your input on that because you're a Nationals fan. You know what they need.
Or Buckaroo, Casey O'Neill.
Oh, that's right. He's a Nationals fan, too.
Give us a holler and let us know what you think the Nationals need.
Steve, next week we got to get to some hockey. Hockey is in full swing, and I have not given them any pub. I have not given any pub to the PLL or anything. So we got some sports to work around to. But we are coming back, and we're getting to WCAC basketball, y'all.
You're listening to Take a TO with Coach Steve Turner and your host, Kirk Cross.
Listen to us on Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Buzzsprout, Spotify, and other popular podcast platforms. Tune in on your preferred podcast platform. Be sure to listen, subscribe, and spread the word.
And now, back to Take a TO with Coach Steve Turner and your host, Kurt Cross.
We are back with Take a TO with Coach Steve Turner. I am Kurt Cross, your host, and my esteemed colleague, USA basketball coach, friend, and Gonzaga College High School head coach Steve Turner is with me as always. Coach, I did see Reagan. I saw Bryant's mom yesterday, right? She recognized me. I guess if I ever stand next to the man Steve Turner, people know who I am, I guess, right?
Come on, man.
All right, now when did he play for you? He was with Chris Jenkins and them?
He graduated. Bryant is 15.
All right,
he won the championship his senior year.
Okay, all right.
Yep.
Who else was on that team, Coach?
That team was Brian Crawford, Sam Miller, a young Chris Likes, a young Prentice Hub.
Oh, wow, I remember those
Miles
names.
Dredd, Anwar Gill. That was a pretty talented team.
Okay, all right.
Who that year, no one pegged us to win it. Everyone had DeMatha taking it from front from the start to the end, and
right.
We found a way to knock it down.
Mr. Chris Likes.
Yes, sir.
All right, so Coach, let's talk WCAC hoops. We regularly refer to the WCAC. For those who do not know, we're talking the Washington Catholic Athletic Conference. Living here, watching WCAC hoops night in and night out, we both see the league as a whole throughout the year. The fascinating thing, you see it as a coach. Mm-hmm. You see it through scouting. You know the youngins who are in 6th, 7th, and 8th grade now who are coming to these schools. I see it from a broadcast standpoint. But we see regular talent, great matchups, and not just the area's best talent, but the best players in the country is what we're seeing here. I'm not going to say that all the best players are here, but I would say we are lopsided. We have an unfair majority of great players here.
Well, I think what you get to see here is we have a hotbed in both the men and the women.
Right.
And because of it, this has become kind of the mecca of high school basketball.
Absolutely.
And when you have a league that has so much talented athletes, men and women, top to bottom of the leagues, it's pretty special.
And we'll give Baltimore some love. There's some teams in Baltimore.
I'm not giving anybody else any love.
Be it league players.
I'm not giving anybody else any love. The WCAC is the best
hands
basketball
down
conference in the country. That's it.
We're going to stop right there.
Stopping right there.
League play or specialty games, the schools themselves attract talent to their individual programs, but other teams either travel here or extend an invite to WCAC teams to play across the country. First, Coach, what do other programs across the country see in the WCAC that makes them makes the invite worth accepting each time? They want us in their tournaments. Why?
Again, it's the talent of the players. And I think the other piece that doesn't get talked about enough is how well coached the teams are from our conference, men and women.
I mean, the Gonzaga coach, he's all right. He's all right.
He's okay. I don't.
You don't give him no pub?
I'm not a fan of his.
With a straight face, you said that. But no, we've got.
I'm just speaking for all those who out there who want to say it and won't say it. So I'll just say it.
But we know who we have in you, Coach Turner. Let me ask you this. Can you talk about the history of the WCAC, what it has meant to college and pro hoops over the years, and just the basketball scene?
Well, I think if you look at the college basketball scene every single night, there's somebody from our league playing for some team in a variety of conferences. So there's not many nights that go throughout, the week that if you're watching college hoops that you hear a name that rings bells.
There are times where you're watching games and you don't know who to root for because you got kids on both sides, right?
Well, those I just root for the players.
Right. Okay. All right. But we got some talent here, and you can't.
I mean, last night, prime example.
Please.
You have a game that gets played for an exhibition game. Two of the top coaches in the NCAA decide that we're going to go put our money where our mouth is and do a relief game for the people of Maui and Kansas and Illinois.
Okay.
Kansas, Hunter Dickinson,
right?
DeMatha, and for Illinois, for a short period of time, Amani Hansberry, St. John's.
Okay.
So there's no night that you turn the TV on and there's not an opportunity.
There's not a WCAC kid out there somewhere, right?
WCAC kids out there.
All right. So let's talk 2023, 2024. Let's start with who the WCAC lost in terms of teams who may have lost some talent to graduation or otherwise. Who's no longer here? Who were the big names last year who went on to college or elsewhere?
You got to go with the champion from last year for the boys,
okay.
St. John's. They lose a few things.
Yeah.
Coach Behan is going to be coach emeritus and won't be probably coaching from the bench.
Right.
So their assistant coach, Pat O'Connor, is now named the interim head coach and will be running the team, but they lose their best two players.
Right.
Donnie Freeman heads on down to IMG.
Correct.
And Daquan Davis, who came from the Baltimore League.
Right.
And then
he's going back.
Helped them win a championship, decided to go back, and then in less than a week decided that he would go join the OTE. And then this week just decommitted from Providence.
Right.
So St. John's probably hit the hardest,
right?
Or at least one of the hit the hardest. But I'm going to say them the hardest because they were the reigning champion and had two first-team all-leaguers leave.
Right.
I would say the team that probably got hit the hardest the next, Good Counsel.
Right.
Coach Kissel's looking to build another team that I think could have had a chance of making a run, and a few of those kids have decided not to stay and leave.
Right.
So I thought those two were the two teams hit the hardest.
Hit the hardest. What and the thought may be that Daquan Davis is putting Maryland back on his perhaps list, right?
I have no clue. I didn't even read into it that far. I just saw that he decommitted from Providence.
Yeah, there was like four teams. I think Maryland's one of them.
Was open in his recruitment.
All right, so you talk Good Counsel, you talk St. John's. There's DeMatha, there's PVI, there's the schools. So talk to me about what these schools are bringing to the table. Or before we get to that, speak a bit about the rivalries and how you expect those rivalries to play into what happens this year.
Well, as you look at the talent pool of the teams in the league and who could potentially be, as I talk to the writers out here who kind of have their preseason rankings.
Oh, I meant to pull those, yeah.
Most people would have that PVI O'Connell matchup on the table, with both of those teams probably being preseason top 5 teams in the WCAC. And I would suspect that people will have the Gonzaga versus DeMatha matchup. We only get to play each other once in the regular season this year, but as I've looked at the rankings that people put out there, they have the both of us probably as top 5 teams in the league. So I would say those are definitely games that are going to be marked on people's calendar.
That's $5
as games that are must see.
Okay. All right. So we move on from that, but let's talk about some teams. We got Good Counsel and St. John's we spoke about. Give me what you got.
I think you look at. I'm not going to talk about us. Okay. So I'll take us out of the equation.
Okay.
But PVI returns a wealth of talent and have added a couple new pieces. Even though with the departure of the reigning Player of the Year and Sean Harris-Smith, who's going to help Maryland make a run in the Big Ten this year, they're probably the favorite. I mean, preseason national polls, they're top 5, the top 10 team in the country, and.
Sorry, I was trying to pull the scenario and put some music behind their stuff with what I got here.
Oh,
go ahead, Steve. That's 2 full pause.
PVI, back to PVI, and they got a wealth of talent back.
Okay.
Darren Harris heading to Duke in a year. Isaiah Abraham heading to UConn in a year. Patrick Ngamba.
He was a little raw last year, and throughout the year I saw him get better.
Had a great end of the year.
Yeah.
And had an unbelievable summer.
Okay.
With TakeOver, and they won the Peach Jam, and his stock blew up.
Right.
And
he's still here.
He's got a nice list of teams that he gets to choose from here, sometime at any minute. I think the team that we talk about at the college level, transfer portal.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think NIL yet, but definitely transfer portal.
Okay.
O'Connell jumped up. Even though they lost some key guys that were from the team last year, the acquisitions they got make them really, really good.
Okay.
Bringing in Bryson Tucker, top 20 player in the country.
Mm-hmm.
Spent the year at Mount St. Joe's, spent the year at IMG, did a homeschool year, and now is at O'Connell. Quincy Wiley is back. The young fella put up big numbers last year, had a really, really good summer, and even the stuff that you're seeing them do in the fall, he's shining bright. And then they were able to get AJ Swinton, who was originally at DeMatha, decided to leave home and head to Oak Hill, and then went out to California, but came back last year in the spring to enroll at O'Connell, and he's an FSU commit.
Okay.
So those guys, I think, went and found some unbelievable pieces, and they got a few other pieces that I didn't name, but we won't go through every guy on their roster.
Steve, I'm not hearing that you get an easy game at any point on any night in this league.
No, you don't. Even with SJC losing the guys they lost, they were able to bring a guy in who transferred within the league, Mari Witherspoon from Carroll, who can really put the ball in the hole. They return a young guy who's in the post, Zion Chase, who gets it done around the rim.
He can jump around that rim, can he?
And plays above the rim and just keeps getting better. And then the team that I think that kind of gets slept on or doesn't get talked about enough.
Okay.
And they've been right there the last couple of years in the mix. Mm-hmm. Is Coach Keith Lyons' McNamara Mustangs.
McNamara,
and they've got a young crew of guards that can really put it in the hole, and Prince Moody and Caden Samuels. And then they got a guy that really came on for me, I thought, last year in the playoffs, was Jalen Collingwood. Undersized forward, jumps out the gym. He stretched his game out now to not just being a mid-range guy and scoring around the basket. He steps out and knocks down the three. Built like a brick house. I mean, I look at him and I say he should go be an NFL wide receiver,
right?
Or even go put a little more mass on the body and just get around that corner and go sack quarterbacks.
Just be an edge rusher.
Yes. And then there's DeMatha.
Now I'm hearing Malcolm Thomas,
committed to Nova.
Okay.
Son of former NBA
Eton Thomas, right?
Kid's so freaking athletic, jumps out the gym. You come in there weak to the rim, he's going to pin your stuff on the glass.
Oh boy!
Or send it long to start a fast break. And he's expanding his game.
Okay.
Starting to knock down the three ball a little bit. Starting to see him make more jump shots and not just playing to his athleticism.
Okay.
But they've got a mixture of a young group and some veterans that maybe haven't had the name recognition. Jacob Wallace, two-sport athlete, one of the best D-backs in the league in football. This past summer, did an unbelievable job of manning the ship and playing the point. So when they get him back from whenever the football season ends for DeMatha, they got a leader that can come in and give them that veteran leadership in the backcourt. Cole Bowser, the other young kid for them is Ashton Meeks, who shoots it from the garage.
Oh boy!
And then they got a young guard that that's going to be one to reckon with into the next few years in Jamal McKnight.
Some teams that don't get talked about so much: Carroll, Ireton, the Heights.
So, Carroll, it's funny that you named them. New coach, Malcolm Battle.
Okay.
I think a guy that they've been trying to get at Carroll for a number.
I feel like I know him.
Of years. Yes, you do.
Okay, yeah.
He's coached at a few of the charter schools here in the DMV. Won the inter high last year at Bard. But he's now the new head coach. The early things that I'm hearing about them in some of these fall events, he's brought that energy and attitude that his teams have always played with on the defensive end. So they're going to be tougher. They're not going to be an easy win for anybody. They've picked up a couple new transfers in. I know they got a couple African players who came in this year, and they had a transfer from DeMatha, young point guard, who I think they're going to give the ball too early and allow him to learn by fire. So you can't sleep on them. And then Ireton has done a good job of picking up some guys through the transfer, along with bringing in some talented guys in the last couple classes. So you're going to see teams like that if you sleep on, because of how well coached they are and with the talent they're bringing in, they'll knock you off too.
The Heights has had some success shooting the ball. They have some energy. They had a kid on the team. He's got to have graduated by now. He looked like he had like thighs like he was a track star or something. You know who I'm talking. Is he still there?
No, he just graduated. He's a walk-on at Virginia Tech.
Oh, okay, all right. So they lost him. He was a lot of their energy.
Yes, he was.
He was a lot of their energy. But you got
his older brother played for me, Raymond.
Right. I'm looking at rankings here. Don't know who this person is. It was sent to me. They go PVI, O'Connell, Gonzaga, DeMatha, McNamara, St. John's, Good Counsel, Carroll, Ireton, Heights. That's what
one school, Riken. They're not in there.
Riken is not on here. No.
Okay, so we have 11 in the league, so they missed one.
Thank you. So it shows you what they know, right? It shows you what they know. They only got 10.
They missed one. It's all good.
And Riken he was a St. John's guy, right?
Riken's former St. John's assistant.
Okay, and what are they looking like?
Young.
Okay,
but they're not going to be bad. He coaches coaching them up. I watched them play this weekend. Another team, like I said, if you think that you're just going to walk in because they haven't been traditionally one of the top 3 or 4, don't sleep on the guys at the bottom of this league.
I wanted to talk about that. You said they're young. How are the ages moving around the WCAC? Is it a mix of everything? Is the league particularly young?
I think the league has got a mix. It depends on the school. I mean, I'd say PVI probably is the more veteran group.
Right. Okay.
In terms of like seniors, that when they graduate this year, you're going to see a little difference in who they are.
Okay.
O'Connell with grabbing 2 big-time senior transfers could be a little different, but they've got a lot of young guys that are very talented that we didn't mention thus far. Mm-hmm. You know, we're a pretty good mix of. I mean, we could start 5 juniors with some great sophomores behind them, along with some really, really talented seniors.
For those who do not know, which games are going to be standing room only?
I mean, I think I mentioned 2 already.
Right.
I mean, I think when you look at what, and say the rankings that young man said again, or whoever said that to you.
The rankings here are PVI, Paul VI, for those who don't know, mm-hmm. O'Connell, Bishop O'Connell, Gonzaga, DeMatha, Bishop McNamara, St. John's, Good Counsel, Archbishop Carroll, Bishop Ireton, the Heights, and I don't know where they'd put Riken on here.
I mean, I would say to you traditionally, this is no offense to anybody in our league. But,
no, of course.
But in those top 6,
mm-hmm.
anytime those teams match up,
get there early.
You better get there early. It's going to be a packed house.
All right. Is Clarendon selling hot dogs if it's at Gonzaga?
Oh, for sure.
You know she's doing that. All right. So now talk about who you think teams are going to stack up, or where you think teams are going to stack up, and what this season will come down to. Health always, right?
I mean, health is always going to be a big key. You know, I think PVI, we all had them pegged to be the team to win it last year. Mm-hmm. And losing a kid like Jordan Smith, who I think is their best defender, to an injury late season, and then wasn't able to play in the playoffs, could have been the difference maker between what happens between them and St. John's in the championship game.
Okay.
You know,
so they're still very formidable, obviously.
No, I think when you look at the names and who are on these teams and the coaches, It could come from any one of those top 5 to 6 teams that could win this league.
Okay.
You know how it is. He's got to catch lightning in the bottle. Every time that we think a team's supposed to win the championship, somebody else does.
I mean, you got to catch lightning in March. You got to win, what, 5?
No. 3.
You got to win 3.
Unless you're a playing team and you got to win 4.
Okay.
And no team from the playing has ever won the league. So I always say 3.
All right. So what you're telling me is come late February, keep your eyes peeled, make sure you get the app, and make sure you buy some tickets to some games at AU.
Definitely.
Is that what you're saying?
Oh, for sure. Started off at Gallaudet. Quarterfinals at Gallaudet, and then you get the semis and championship down at AU.
And then we get some Georgetown University action, right?
So that's states for
States.
for DC. Virginia plays out in the Virginia.
The
state.
VHSL?
Yep.
All right.
And then the
what's Maryland going to do?
Well, Maryland did a independent private tournament last year.
They did. You're right.
That Mark Stern was kept from Capital Hoops was a part of helping run. And I would imagine they'll do that again this year.
I forgot because ISL teams, I forgot about that. All right, on the women's side, my predictions, I'm not going to break down every single player. Here are my predictions. Steve's looking at me like he ready to hear what I got to say. He has not seen this paper here based on talent, coaching, experience, and the intangibles. I'm going to go teams 4 through 1 because, unfortunately, there's a little more disparity on the women's side in terms of teams that just don't size up so much, aren't often in the mix. So you have some big names in the mix. One team I did not mention, I think Seton is going to struggle a little bit. They do have a new coach, and I think that's always going to be tough. I don't know that they have the team takeovers and all of that where they can gel it in the offseason to put themselves in a position in November to do what they have to do. My number 4, you want to write down who you think I'm going to go 4 through 1? All right, number 4 I think will be good counsel. I think Milton Kimbrough does a good job out there. Unfortunately, I don't know that he can crack the top 4 or get higher than 4. I'll tell you, your number 3 team, I think, is going to be Bishop McNamara. With Frank Oliver gone, they were young and competitive last year. Who did they retain but Ron James as an assistant? I think will do a fine job. Probably has the trust of the families, but it's still a new coach. It's still a new coach because at St. John's, they got, on the men's side, they've got the trust of the families, but we've seen some things change over there.
Correct.
Right? All right, your number 2 team is going to be PVI. Scott Allen, besides St. John's and McNamara, the only other 20-win team from last year. I think PVI is always going to be good, but they graduated Anna Kunzweiler and Louise Volker. And those were 2, I call their names a lot on the mic. If I call your name a lot on the mic, you're doing something dynamic up to and including scoring. Your number 1 team is going to be St. John's. They're too talented. The point guard play, you've seen Kendall Walker play. Yes. She's ridiculous. The post play from Carol A. Barton, Lila Coogan is 6'2" and still growing. She's a sophomore. And Scribner just gets the most out of his players every single year. When they lost, not Carol A., I can't say her name. She's at UNC. Delaney.
Yes.
They lost Delaney, and they were able to keep it together. Carol A kept it together in the post, and she really showed up big time. And they lost Carol A at one point, too, and they still came back and won the title. Hats off to Scribner. He always has good teams.
Coach does a great job.
Yeah, he does. And when when you think they might not have the talent, he has something up his sleeve. And whether it's a play, whether it's a philosophy, whether it's a transfer, I think they got another transfer in. Lila was the transfer last year as a freshman. She came in and contributed. But they got point guard play. One of their point guards, one of their backcourt girls, I think, played overseas over the summer. St. John's is ready. Like I said, I'll give PVI number 2. Bishop McNamara will be number 3. And Milt Kimbrough, he always does a good job with that good counsel girls team. So thoughts, questions for me on that one?
Nah, I mean, it seems to be that seems to be the 4, pretty much the last few years here.
Right.
So
sometimes 1 goes to 2, 3 goes to 2.
I think the same thing you said. Could anything that might change that could be an injury,
right,
or something that occurs throughout the year. But I will flip with the girls. You've seen enough of them.
Here's what I think. Also, I think McNamara St. John's is like Cowboys Redskins. You throw the records out the window when those 2 teams play because it's always them in the mix. For a while, Seton back in the day.
Good counsel for a while.
Yeah, good counsel. Yeah, definitely good counsel for a while. But when McNamara and St. John's play, I remember one of the first girls' games I ever called was McNamara St. John's when I got to the WCAC. And dude, people standing in the windowsills. I mean, anybody doing anything they can. Cops stopped me out front. I said, I'm the guy on the mic. And he had never met me before. He thought I was trying to sneak into the game. And it was a sight to behold. But McNamara St. John's is always a great game to watch. Shout out to the Holy Crosses, the Setons, St. Mary's, Riken, those teams. You guys always come in. And I'll tell you what, I cannot call her name right now. But that St. Mary's Riken coach always has her girls ready to play. I feel like she sits on the bench for the men's games, or she helps out on the men's.
I don't think so.
Really? I don't know why. Yeah, but she always gets the most out of her teams. I cannot call her name. But shout out to all the coaches. You always get me your rosters so I can call your games. But we shall see. Coach, what's the countdown? A couple weeks, right?
No.
I mean, a couple weeks before you play your first regular season game.
Oh, well, it gets started on the 8th.
It gets started on the 8th. So you're talking 9 days.
We start on the 8th.
Okay. And what's going to happen, Coach? How many exhibitions you got?
I think we'll do our normal 4.
Okay. And what you get, a 30-game season?
28 this year, 29 if you play John Paul the Great.
What's the deal with John Paul the Great? Did they apply for membership to the WCAC?
They did.
It didn't get approved, I assume? Or?
I keep hearing 100 different things, so.
Okay, because I know they applied.
We'll see. They definitely applied.
I know they applied. I don't know what ends up happening there, but you played 28, or are you going to play?
I'll get 29 because I'm playing them.
Or you going to get 32?
We're going to get enough, more than that with the playoffs.
I'm asking, are you going to get 32 or are you going to get to the final game? I'm asking.
I don't predict. If I could predict anything,
right,
it'd be the Mega Million or the Powerball, so I could sail off to the sunset.
Sail off into the sunset. Yeah. What you sailing off in? Where's that ship?
Sitting in the Greek Isles.
Oh, man. That's where it is? That needs to be one of our starting 5 questions. Coach, I appreciate your time as always. What do you want to say? What do you want to say to people to sign us off? Well, you know what? Let me do my regular sign. I'm your host, Kurt Cross. This is Coach Steve Turner. Coach, that's it for today. Thanks for talking WCAC Hoops and then some. We thank our listeners for joining the party today. Remember, you can find us on Spotify, Buzzsprout, iHeartRadio, Apple Music, and just about anywhere you get your podcast content. Of course, we will be back with episode 8, so stay tuned. One thing that the people should know, in my opinion, we don't rehearse this. We don't talk about this before. You come into the studio every Monday. What are we going to talk about today? And you just go off the cuff. You might have a note here or there, a sticky note here or there, but you're able to call all these players and this thing. I have notes, okay, all my stuff. You can come off the dome, but we don't rehearse this. So it's something fun we do. We thank you for listening. And Coach, how do you want to sign off this week?
Well, I'll just say, the league we do get started next week, and November 8th is our winter sports start date. So those of you who love high school basketball, I promise you the WCAC is going to have you in for a treat this year. Get out to some games. We look forward to seeing you.
Is that what you got for me?
Yes, sir.
By the way, I meant to talk about this, and I'm just going to throw it out there. Maybe we'll get to it. The ACC is welcoming Stanford, Cal, and SMU to the conference next year. So this upcoming Monday, today, the ACC is going to be revealing the ACC 17-team football schedule model for the next 7 years on the ACC network.
And I'll say furthermore, last thing to say, J-Rock, good luck next Monday.
Oh, yeah, baby. It's about to start. We'll see you next time, folks.